I would like to invite everybody, and helping me to invite Devlin, Jason, Jenny, and Melanie to deliver the report for the 3rd Annual Young Leaders Forum.
So my name is Devlin, and I'm a young leader and a staff member at the YMCA of Regina. And I've been lucky enough to be a part of this initiative since 2010. And we're here on behalf of the 59 young leaders in the room tonight attending the AGM and the rest of the young leaders who are not present but are part of the initiative as well. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a history about the Young Leaders Forum. It began in 2010, really, when Y Canada and the Federation decided to involve young people in the YMCA Annual General Meeting. The feedback young people provided after participation in the first AGM is that we wanted to have an opportunity to meet on our own prior to the AGM, leading to the creation of the first YMCA Young Leaders Forum in 2011 with the support and guidance of Ida Thomas from YMCA Canada and the advice and wisdom of the Students' Commission of Canada from Stoney McCart and Sharif Mahdi. The first Young Leaders Forum created an opportunity for young professionals, both staff and volunteer, to come together to discuss ways in which we could work together and what we could achieve collectively. Based on recommendations from this first Young Leaders Forum, we created a structure including subcommittees and developed timelines to address the recommendations throughout the year. At the 2012 Diamond Jubilee Young Leaders Forum, we began to At the 2012 Diamond Jubilee Young Leaders Forum, we began to focus on the ways the initiative could achieve specific priorities that support the overall goals of Plan Y. And for those of you who need a reminder, that's building our brand, strengthening our impact, extending our reach, and increasing our capacity. In early 2013, the Young Leaders Initiative broadened its constituency through the delivery of the Just Tell Us youth sessions, youth engagement sessions, which were delivered in 29 member associations across Canada, asking young people about what they thought were important issues they were facing, both from a local and national perspective, as well as what they want their role to be in the governance structure of the YMCA Federation. Jumping back to 2012, to quickly touch base on some of the evolution that's happened over the years, the Young Leaders Advisory Committee was formed as an advisory committee to YMCA Canada, as part of a natural evolution in the process created to provide coordination and support for the larger Young Leaders Initiative. This really stemmed from the coordinators of the different subcommittees in the initiative coming together to meet and prepare for the Young Leaders Forum that year. And that naturally evolved into the advisory committee as the group really became the go-to for many different ideas and opportunities that were passed to them on from YMCA Canada. This organic, natural evolution creates such a level of ownership by the people involved. Part of what makes this initiative so exciting for some, and sometimes terrifying for others, is that we have not defined every piece of what the structure can or will be. We're allowing the initiative to grow and have the opportunity to address governance and create structure as it's required, learning through experience and the process of creating our own change. Each year builds on the previous year, the relevance, the intensity, the growth, the experience, and this happens on both an in-person context and a virtual context. Social media has really allowed us to keep participants from previous forums engaged while allowing new people to become involved, sharing the stories, decisions, and outcomes of different parts of the forums with our constituency that exists coast to coast. A great example of this is our social media challenge that we held on day 2 of the forum. And for those of you who didn't hear about it, we challenged 60 of our participants in the forum to share a photo we posted of an icebreaker earlier that day. Over 4,500 people saw that single post. The history of this initiative shows how excited young people are to be a part of something bigger than themselves and their desire to be involved in the future of the YMCA in Canada, helping to build the Canada we want and the YMCA we need. And now I'd like to pass things to Jason.
Hey, my name is Jason McDougall. I'm a volunteer board member at Wood Buffalo YMCA in Northern Alberta. This is my second year at the Youth Leader Forum, and this year's theme was social media, hashtag YLC 2013. As Devlin just said, we managed to upwards of 4,500 views on one Facebook picture that we uploaded from the Youth Leader Forum. Hashtag awesome, hashtag tip of the iceberg. A bit of an inside joke. But just to get down to business a little bit, this year the Young Leaders Forum focused a lot on governance, governance structure, and we even got some hands-on experience practicing the use of governance. We had to start from scratch, and it was an empowering feeling to get 50 young minds together and figure out how to decide on how we decide to decide. It took a little while to get everyone's head wrapped around that, but once we clicked in, it came together and we knew we had knew how to make an official vote. Our adult allies really helped by giving tiny pushes in the right direction to keep us moving forward in the right direction. Personally for me, one thing said by an adult ally that really clicked for me and got my thinking process going at a higher level was, they just stopped us, take a step back and see it from a bigger picture. And for me, it just, boom, my mind I said, whoa. And I started to see it from a bigger picture, and we really started moving forward from that point on. I'd like to pass this off to Melanie, one of those brilliant minds right now.
Thanks, Jason. And so I'm Melanie Smith. I'm one of the adult allies, and I'm the board chair for the YMCA of Simcoe, Muskoka. So I'm not one of the young leaders, aged out by their definition. But I'll tell you a little story about how I became... The only way I could really get to go to this was as an adult ally. There's a bit of a story behind it. If you don't know what an adult ally is, I can tell you how I became one. And it started at the CEO CPO conference just a few months ago. And I had the opportunity at lunch, where you, just like this, you're in a meeting room. And it's just an open buffet lunch, so I grabbed a table and I ended up sitting with the Youth Advisory Committee, basically. I was there with MedHat and the others on the committee, and we were just talking, finding out about what they were working on, listening, giving our input, and just had a really nice discussion over lunch, so meeting them and listening to them. After that event, I was approached by IDA through some feedback that they wanted me to join this forum as an adult ally. I read the description and it really sounded like what I did at lunch that day. It sounded like they wanted some adults there to listen, maybe provide input here and there, but really just to support them in the process. So that's how I became an adult ally. It's been an honor to be asked. It's been a privilege to be part of it this week, and just really exciting opportunity. So we've spent the last 3 days participating in lots of sessions, long day yesterday, like 8 in the morning till 9 at night, hardly any breaks. So this group has been working hard. The really exciting thing, along the lines of the theme this year is giving voice, is that the report back from the engagement sessions that the young leaders have put together is on the agenda for our AGM. So we are able to influence where the YMCA is going in Canada, and that's a really significant milestone, and I see more ideas and national programs maybe coming out of this group. The next thing I want to do is just demonstrate how adult allies work and really just sit back and let them continue with the presentation. And as a panel format, they're going to be presenting different things, but I will jump in and add value if there's something I think that we need to discuss, or I can just add value to the presentation. I think it's back to Jason next, talk a bit more about governance and the subcommittees.
So with the ability to put the governance structure to use, we took the information from what our Canadian youth that told us that were their biggest issues. The top two were bullying and access to information. And we put it to a debate and a vote. It was a very long process. It took us quite a long time to kind of narrow down what we wanted. We had some great discussions, but our final decision was to focus on focus our efforts on access to information over the next year. Education, sorry. And I wanted to touch on that access to education could be the root of other issues that the Canadian youth expressed. Our 4 subcommittees took access to education and started planning for the future. I want to break down the groups just a little bit to give you an understanding of where we're moving forward over the next year. Capacity building subcommittee went in the direction of having a 2-year plan. The first year would be focused on the capacity group to educate themselves, to be better mentors in the future, and this can branch into other issues, as I mentioned earlier. So that next year they can easily educate our new young leaders, which in turn can educate our local staff, community members, and general participants. The Youth Engagement Subcommittee broke down into 2 major categories of programming and policies. Finding out where we currently stood on our youth being able to access education, how we can share success from one association to another, and how we can also move forward to make it easier for our local youth to access this information and make it more desirable for them to seek this education. Our logistics subcommittee focused mainly on wanting to become a resource hub for all the other subcommittees, to be able to easily get access to education for themselves, to get feedback, to continue to grow through knowledge sharing and dedication. And I'm finally going to pass this off to Jenny to explain how the 4 subcommittee applied access to information to global initiatives.
Really stuck on the whole access to information. I think it's because we've been doing so much social media, and that's probably why. My name is Jenny Martinez, and I'm from the YMCA of Hamilton, Burlington, Brantford, and I also serve as the Global Initiatives Subcommittee Coordinator. The Global Initiatives Subcommittee seeks to extend an understanding and representation through capacity building, youth engagement, and creation of global opportunities. Our goal is to educate both young leaders and local associations on global initiatives and YMCA international partnerships through education and promotion. In addition, the global initiatives will collaborate in supporting the work of the change agents and use their international networks to drive objectives forward. I sit before you not only as a young leader, but as a change agent. I am a change agent that is one of 24 that are singing amongst you today, who will embark on this life-changing experience, and I'm so excited about. Through youth empowerment, this initiative seeks to enhance youth voice, develop the leaders of tomorrow, and improve the outcomes for children, teens, and young adults around the world. The Change Agent Initiative is a worldwide effort coordinated by the World Alliance of YMCAs to unite leaders from all over the world to come together to create change through space, transformation, and impact. In addition, change agents will also participate in the Prague Youth Festival, where over 200 young leaders from all over the world will come together. The YMCA World Council in Colorado, as well as the YMCA International Conference. In allowing us to take part in this extraordinary opportunity, we hope to gain valuable knowledge, experience, and the capacity to further impact young leaders on both a local and global level. I would really like to take this opportunity to thank you. Thank you for choosing us to represent Canadian YMCAs when we go to Prague, and extend an invitation for leaders such as yourselves and such as Melanie to serve as mentors as we embark on this life-changing opportunity. And please, if you're interested, talk to Ida. In the wise words of Romulo Dantas, I leave you with this. Youth are the leaders of tomorrow. Be the change, communicate the vision, inspire the action. Thank you. So with that being kind of a panel, I'd like to continue this discussion and open up for any questions that you might have for us.
Not everybody at once.
Yeah, come on. Just any questions you might have in terms of what we've been doing this week.
Marilyn?
Yeah.
So can you tell me how you see the work that you're going to be doing as global change agents and the Prague event fitting into the governance pieces that you've been talking about here in Canada?
Devlin?
Sure, we can try and talk
Yeah, we'll
about
try
that.
it.
Again, as I sort of mentioned earlier, I think that one of the things that's really unique about the initiative is we've just sort of allowed things to grow and happen as we face them. And so, I mean, it's really interesting right now that as our initiative is growing, it's starting to define what the structure needs to look like and what the governance model needs to be, that the YMCA Federation is prepared tomorrow to have a vote on what the governance model in terms of bringing the youth perspective into the vote is going to look like as well. And I think that really there's an opportunity to continue that process in terms of us figuring that out as we take on opportunities like the Change Agent program to learn from other structures that exist within other YMCAs and what are other processes that are going on across the globe that we could maybe look at and use some information from as well. I think that's, there's maybe a really great opportunity there for that. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, Jenny?
I think the kind of what I mentioned, how we're going to be able to meet people from all around the world, and we're going to be able to learn from them and learn from their governance structures and learn from their programs and projects and things that they do, and we'll be able to bring that back. I think that's a huge impact that we'll have both locally and globally. Other questions? Yeah.
There's somebody at the mic right there.
Oh, there's somebody at the mic.
Hi. 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 My name's Betty, and I'm from the YMCA Greater Halifax Dartmouth. And just an observation and also a question is that I would like to propose that we shift our perspective to say that youth are our leaders of today, rather than youth are our leaders of tomorrow, because I know my own local association, the unbelievable work that's happening in camp and childcare and before and after school programs and youth outreach every single day is primarily being done by people under the age of 30. So I would like us to consider talking about youth are our leaders of today, and then consider a strong support of the motion tomorrow, which I think is an exact, a wonderful example of how we are going to put that belief into action as we look at something very formal around our governance tomorrow, and how do we bring our young leaders integrated into the day-to-day governance of our YMCA. And thirdly, I would like just to ask the question, what other ideas have you been talking about over the last 2 days about what are some other tangible actions that we can talk about together that would integrate the young leader perspective into our day-to-day YMCA. Thank you.
I'd first like to thank you very much for saying, and acknowledging that we are leaders of today, and there is a reason why we're standing up here today speaking to you guys the way that we are, and there is a reason why we do have this forum, is because the YMCA has acknowledged the fact that their youth are capable, and their youth will lead. And one day, one of us will be at the podium. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Is my mic on? I really can't hear it. I can't tell. Yes? Okay. To touch on your question around tangible ways for the local, it was tangible ways for your local YMCA to ensure that youth voice is represented. Is that right? I guess this wasn't a new idea that was generated, but when I hear a question, and this actually sort of builds on what we were talking about with Marilyn earlier, another thing that I think maybe we don't quite talk about in the sense of governance, but really is an incredible model of sort of a youth commissioner style of getting information from the local level and representing it nationally, but also just having that information for the local level is the Just Tell Us sessions that we ran. I mean, we ran those in 29 associations across the country. Hundreds of young people came out to those sessions to provide insight on what are issues that they're facing, not just nationally, but locally, and how they want to be involved in that governance structure. And from that, I mean, in a lot of cases, it was a young leader who was delivering that workshop in the association, and now they're here today representing those views not only at the forum that we held prior to this AGM, but sort of bringing that perspective to the AGM here as well to share with CEOs, CPOs, and staff. And so I think, we're talking about the direction we're moving in terms of a governance structure, and although that's not necessarily super formalized, I think it's a really incredible model that exists at this point in terms of our ability to gather voice from across the country and determine what's important to young people. I think that's something really incredible that we've done, and we just maybe haven't looked at it from that perspective.
And also I want to add, I know the Greater Toronto area has a youth board where it's just a bunch of youth members, and they have 1 or 2 board members from the actual board that sit on the youth board, and then the youth go out and gather information, and they bring that, and they bring those ideas forward to the main board. And it's not much of an official vote, but it's just getting the youth voice out there. And I think if other YMCAs started doing that, just having youth gather and bring minds together and then bring an idea up to the board, it might just add another, like what you were saying, of getting more of a youth voice into our daily YMCA activities.
Is there another question?
Question? First of all, I'd just like to echo the same sentiment. My opinion is anybody at any age who spends time and commitment to build positive capacity in the community in any way, shape or form is an absolute leader. So credit to you and everybody else that's here. My question though is I think that how you framed it in terms of access to education being the topic that your leadership group has highlighted is very important, but I'm really keen to understand why your group felt that that was the topic for them and what they could bring to that topic that was, part of the why values and made it the right topic for that group.
Do you want to go, Jeremy?
I'll do a really quick answer to that and then let someone get into something more complicated and in-depth. I think the one thing that we realized, we had a lot of discussion. That was not an easy process for us at all. And I think all the young leaders in the room can attest to the long, difficult day we had in terms of deciding on what our priorities were going to be moving forward. That was there was a lot of debate and a lot of discussion about where that was going to land. So certainly don't want anyone to think that was a simple process for us. I think what the one sort of common thing that came up in those discussions, though, was that a lot of those issues that were listed are very interrelated. There's, they can sort of be connected in a lot of ways. And so I think that one underlying feeling by a lot of the young leaders was that by addressing the issue of education and access to education, you really could then combat a lot of those other priorities. And so in a lot of ways, some people saw that as a starting point in terms of a goal for the next period of time that could really also address some of those other priorities.
I think we also saw change as, education is the start to change, and that's where we really saw it. And we saw, bullying as maybe perhaps a symptom of lack of education, as well as lack of employment, as perhaps a lack of education. So we saw that through education, we can create change. And not only that, but I felt that perhaps education was something that every subcommittee could also address. We'd also like to thank everybody who was part of this whole process, especially Ida, and all our young leaders who were in the trenches with us for these last couple days. And we invite everybody here to please approach your young leader, get to know us. We have a lot of valuable information, and just like we would like to network with you as well. Thank you so much.